Okay, so to continue on from the previous lesson, what we want to do is visually see where the local coordinate system is going when the parent-child relationship is established between bones. So we're going to simply tell this bone to track the local coordinate system for this bone, meaning that we just want to visually see where it's going. Now, when we create parent-child relationships between objects, as you've seen, that a copy of the center of the 3D grid is handed off to the parent, and that is what becomes the local space of the object. Now, when we are dealing with bones, basically, if we press the G key to move this bone over here and switch to edit mode, this is where the local coordinate system's axis is going to be picked up and handed off to the parent. Okay, I'm going to go back to pose mode. So meaning that it doesn't matter where we move this. Now, if you want to visually track where that local coordinate system is, you can simply click on this axis. Do Shift D to duplicate it and place it over here. Now, originally we had made this the child of the grid. So if you go to the Object tab, you'll see that's what it says. We're going to, of course, have to remove it. Let me just zoom out. I'm going to do Alt R and G to reset the rotation and location and press the G key and move it over here. Go ahead and zoom in. So now we're going to tell this axis to copy the orientation of this axis over here, which represents the local coordinate system. So to do this, first what I want you to do is go ahead and switch this to global. Click over here, press the Shift key down, and click over here. Now, if we go over here and do Align to Transform Orientation, Transform Orientation is talking about the 3D manipulator. See? Transform orientation. So whatever the 3D manipulator is showing, all selected objects will align to the 3D manipulator. This is really how this thing works. So if we click it, you'll see that that's what's going on. I'm going to do Control Z to undo that. So you can see this is the reason why we selected this as the last object, because it gives us the ability to switch this to local, right? So this is what the 3D manipulator is doing, matching the local axis of this object. So now if you go over here and fire this off, basically both objects are going to align themselves to the 3D manipulator. Now we didn't see this object move, it's because it was already aligned. Anyways, that's how that works. So go ahead and click on this, do Shift S and do cursor to selected. Click on this and do Shift S and do selection to cursor. I'm going to zoom out, we're going to press the Shift key down and click on this bound. Now if you see two bones selected, just click on this bone, do Control P, and just do Object. Now you can see that when we click on this parent or press the R key to rotate, we are tracking the local coordinate system for this bone over here, right? So if we do Alt G to reset the location, you'll notice that that's where it goes. And also notice that over here, if we change the X value, the bone will move along its X and move along its Z. Right, so this is how parent-child relationships are done. This bone needs to have a local coordinate system which is being tracked by the parent, so this bone can be moved anywhere, meaning we can change its offset from the parent. So the question is going to be that when we are using the constraints on this bone to get information about this bone's information is actually going to come from its original local coordinate system, not this one. Okay, so to see this, what I want you to do is go ahead and click this, go to the Constraints tab, and over here, we're going to change this to Local with Parent. Okay? Actually, before we do that, notice that when you click on this, press the R key, this bone does not rotate. It's because this bone is not moving or rotating inside this local coordinate system, right? That's what's going on. So now when we switch this to Local with Parent, now you will see that it's rotating. See? So the question is, how is this working? Right? So the way this is working is basically this bone, however it's rotating with the parent, its orientation is being determined based off of this local coordinate system. So to see this, what we can do is simply click on this bone and tell it not to move with the parent by just doing copy location, and here we're just going to choose this axis. Now we're forcing this bone to stick over here, but it's still going to follow its parent. So now notice this, when we click on the parent and press the R key, See how it rotates? So that rotation information is now coming to this object. Just want you to make sure that you understand how this concept is working. Okay, so this means that if we click on this bone and actually click on offset, I'm going to press the G key to actually move this over here. Okay, now when we click on this bone, and let's say we say, okay, we want to copy the location of that bone again, armature in bone 001, we're going to do local with parent and local space. Okay, now notice that over here, because we have offset, when we move this bone, it's not going to be according to this local coordinate system, it's going to be according to this one. You can see that when I press the G key and just move this along Z, see how that bone moves along Z, and this is moving along X. So this is how this idea works. Okay, so anyways, let's just click this off. Okay, and then over here, I'm just going to remove this. So now we've covered all the basics over here. Okay, now let's go ahead and do file and save. Now we're going to do file, new, do reload and start up file. Going to press the A key to select everything, do X and delete, do Shift A. We're going to add an armature with a single bone, press the 1 key, press the 5 key, go ahead and zoom in. We're going to save this file, save as, and let's save this as bone concepts 13.blend. Now I'm going to show you a few things because we're going to come back to this file again in the next lesson. What I want you to do is press the tab key to go into edit mode and just click on this red arrow and just bring it up. Doesn't really matter. Do W and do subdivide 1 and then 2. Now here we're going to actually just see how we can use the copy rotation constraint to do interesting things. Here we're just going to do Shift D to duplicate this bone and just place it anywhere over here. Go ahead and switch to pose mode. Now what I want you to do is click on this bone, press the Shift key down, click on this one, do Shift Control C, and just do copy rotation. Now go ahead and do this on all these bones over here. Same thing. Okay. Now you'll notice that when we click on this bone and press the R key, all bones are following the rotation of this bone, regardless of the fact that there are parent-child relationships going on, right? Okay, so now what I want you to do is go ahead and click this and press the R key to just rotate all the way like this. Now what we can do is click on each bone, go to the Constraints tab, and actually start basically telling it each bone not to move by that much. And what this basically does is it gives us the ability to create this concept of tentacles, right? You can imagine that this could be a tail of a dragon or whatever, or an elephant trunk. So this is what you can do with the copy rotation constraint. And if you involve the copy location and copy rotation and copy scale, you can do very interesting things. So anyways, what I want you to do now is go ahead and switch to edit mode, press the A key, do X and delete, do Shift C to place the 3D cursor in the center, do Shift A to add a new bone over here. Now we're going to make sure that we enable the axis over here on the object tab. Over here, do axis in names. Go ahead and switch this to pose mode. Go ahead and click on this bone. Now over here, we're going to first switch to object, do Shift A. We're going to go ahead and add a grid. Press the tab key, do X, and we're going to do only faces. We're going to do tab over here. Now what we want to do is tell this grid to copy the rotation of this bone over here. So it's going to do this. This is correct. Press the 3 key. Now, having this object selected, press the tab key to go into edit mode, press the 3 key, press the A key to select everything, press the R key, press the control key down, and just place it right here. Basically, it's the same idea that we've seen before. and now press the Tab key. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and just zoom in over here, and what we're going to do is file and save. So this is going to set us up for the next lesson. So we're done with looking at the constraints using objects in Balance. So I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you.